As the new giant warrior pirates prepare to lift to return to the Sunworld, Chopper stays behind in the underworld to treat Gaban's wounds. Before the group leaves, Gaban shares a vital secret. The Knights of God are not actually immortal. He explains that the key to defeating them lies in the conscious use of Supreme King Haki. Gaban then reveals that Luffy isn't the only one on the crew with this power. Zoro has it as well. While Luffy admits he could already sense it, Zoro is generally surprised. Gaban warns Zoro that he must learn to control this Haki if he hopes to stand by an Emperor's side. Luffy, following his instincts, casually invites Prince Loki to join his crew. While Zoro and Sanji reject the idea for practical reasons, and Loki refuses to be a subordinate, the mood shifts when Gaban orders Haruden to set the prince free. Gaban reveals that both he and Shanks were on Elbaf the day King Harald was killed, and they sense the strange, abnormal Haki that suggests there's more to the story than the public knows. Haruden agrees to give Loki 3 minutes to tell the absolute truth. Loki begins a flashback to 14 years ago when he and Ja Rule were summoned to the castle. Upon reaching the throne room, they were met with a horrific sight. King Harald was being stabbed to death by his own men. The story then shifts back even further, 109 years into the past, to explain the legend of King Harald. Though he eventually became a beloved hero, in his youth, Harald was a ruthless and cruel king who enjoyed tormenting both humans and his own people. This dark history connects back to a secret meeting Shanks once had with Harald and Marie Joie, where Shanks realized the king was hiding something he couldn't speak about until he returned to Elbaf. King Harald wasn't always the hero he is known as today. In his youth, he was a spoiled and violent prince who believed his immense strength gave him the right to do whatever he wanted. This changed forever during a journey through the New World, where he found a giant woman named Ida working in human circus. Thinking she was a prisoner, Harald destroyed the town to rescue her. To his shock, Ida slapped him. She explained that the humans actually saved her life when she was washed ashore, and she was working in the circus to pay them back for their kindness. She called Harald arrogant for looking down on humans just because they were smaller. This encounter humbled Harald. He stayed to help rebuild the town and eventually fell in love with Ida, bringing her back to Elbaf. As the years passed, Harald dedicated his life to peace and connecting Elbaf with other nations. He and Ida had a son, Haruden, but because Ida was not born in Elbaf, Harald was forbidden from making her his official queen. Instead, he was forced into a political marriage with a woman named Estridge, a noblewoman obsessed with omens and luxury. When Estridge gave birth to the son Loki, she was repulsed by his unusual eyes. Calling him a cursed monster, she lied to the kingdom, claiming the baby was stillborn. She then threw the infant Loki into the depths of the underworld. However, Loki was a survivor. He not only lived through the fall, but eventually began the impossible climb back up toward the Sunworld. Before Estrid died, she left behind a chilling prophecy. She claimed she had foreseen that Loki would one day kill his father. As Elbaf began to face political pressure and struggles with the world government, the people began to blame their bad fortune on Loki. They came to believe that the cursed prince's very essence was the source of all the kingdom's problems. During the year Charlotte Linlin killed Ja Rule, Elbaf was struck by mysterious disasters. Food became scarce, and desperate giants began turning on one another. Queen Estrid used this chaos to fuel her own agenda, convincing the people that the infant prince Loki was a curse on the land. While the baby Loki desperately sought his mother's affection, she rejected him until the day she died, leaving him emotionally hollow. As the famine worsened, a giant even attempted to kill Loki's half-brother, Haruden, believing it would end the curse. Thankfully, King Harald returned just in time with aid from allies, saving his people from starvation. However, the damage to Loki's heart was done. Forced to wear bandages over his eyes and raised by a hateful uncle, Loki grew up unable to love. Eventually, his despair became so great that he jumped from the sun world to the underworld to end his life. But his naturally powerful body protected him, leaving him in a state of hopeless invincibility. Loki soon became a bitter rebel, leading armies of beasts to attack the villages above. When Harald tried to defend their father's vision of peace, Loki brutally struck him down, mocking his brother for caring about others. Meanwhile, in private, the elder Jarul warned Harald that the world government was targeting them. He spoke of Galila, a group of legendary giant shipwrights who had vanished, suggesting that the government fears the giants because of an ancient history that sank into the sea. Harald revealed he had once snuck into the Levely to seek peace, escaping only because a violent intruder killed a marine admiral. That intruder was no other than Xebec, the man a young Loki would eventually meet and view as his salvation. In a shocking twist, it is revealed that Xebec is the biological father of Marshal D. Teach, the man we know as Blackbeard. In the underworld, Prince Loki meets Xebec for the first time. Rox was unimpressed by the boy and easily sent him flying with his sword, which he swung with the power of a cannonball. Rox used Loki's injury as a way to force King Harald to return home, proving he was a man who used any means to get what he wanted. The secret history between Harald and Rox began years earlier at the Levely. Rox had infiltrated the Holy Land, kidnapping 5 kings, and even reached the secret Room of Flowers to stand before Emu. While his attempt to use the kings as hostages failed, Rox left with the promise to return and take the throne. During the chaos, Harald was framed for Rox's crimes. When the two finally met while escaping, they clashed with such massive hockey that everyone within 5 kilometers was blown away. Rox warned Harald that if he didn't fight back, he would eventually be enslaved by the world nobles. That day, Rox became the world's most wanted man after fatally wounding a marine admiral. Rox soon attacked a world government ship carrying the heavenly tribute, using the stolen gold to start his career. He gathered powerful crew members through Davy-back fights, including a young Edward Newgate, Shiki, and Miss Bucket. Rox revealed his master plan. The world government wanted him to reclaim the pirate island, Hachinosu, but he intended to take it for himself. He explained that Hachinosu was filled with gold that underground groups were secretly mining, and he wanted that profit for himself. Rox told Harald his goal was to turn Hachinosu into a pirate paradise, destroy the Marines, and eventually become the king of the world. While Harald refused to join, believing the plan would destroy Elbaf's peace, a young Loki was mesmerized. To the cursed prince, Rox's dream of a total freedom felt like his only salvation. 4 years later, after successfully seizing the island, the Rox pirates were officially born. During this era, the Kuja pirates of Amazon Lily were the idols of the sea. Their captain, Gloriosa, was adored by many, but she was deeply in love with Goldie Roger. However, Roger's attention was fixed on her first mate, Shakuyaku, whose beauty and strength made her nearly undefeatable. While most men became fools in Shakuyaku's presence, Rayleigh was the only one who kept his composure, earning her respect. Eventually, Gloriosa's lovesickness forced her to step down, and Shakuyaku took over as captain, leading the Kuja to even greater fame. On Elbaf, Prince Loki's desperation grew. He tried to set sail on his own but nearly drowned, with the local giants hesitating to save him because of his bad reputation. Ida, seeing through Loki's anger, realized he was simply lonely. She offered him a home with her and Harald, but Loki lashed out, insulting her and claiming she only wanted his royal status. Despite the insult, Ida didn't hate him. She saw him as a troubled child. Loki's only goal was to join Rox, believing the pirate was his only ticket to freedom. But Rox rejected him every time he visited the island. Meanwhile, on Hachinosu, the Rox pirates became a terrifying gathering of legends. New members joined the ranks, including Charlotte Linlin, Kaido, Captain John, and a powerful hitman named Kyo, who would later be known as Silver Axe. Rox revealed to his crew that his plan to become the king of the world required 2 specific devil fruits and the capture of the Galila, a mysterious group of frozen giants. Rox believed one of these legendary fruits was hidden on Elbaf and wanted King Harald to eat it, believing only Harald's strength could unlock its true potential. When Kaido suggested forcing Harald into submission, Rox struck him down, declaring he would never do that to a friend. Rox made his vision clear. Elbaf was the essential key to destroying the Holy Land of Marie-Joie. He promised his crew that if they followed him, he would lead them to the very peak of the world. The Rox pirates raid the International Philanthropy Federation, exposing it as a scam used to hoard treasure rather than help children. During their escape, Shiki attempts to kill his own crewmates with a bomb to increase his share of the loot. However, Edward Newgate uses his tremor powers to upheave the entire area, saving the crew. When the Marines arrive, Rox D. Xebec refuses to flee, ordering his men to crush the Navy and take everything they have. Over just 2 years, the crew's path to destruction was so massive that it completely overshadowed even the rising Roger pirates. King Harald's dream of peace faces a brutal reality when he tries to help the nation of Inishi. World government agents claim the country has no rights because it's unaffiliated, and they callously execute prisoners to provoke Harald. When Harald defends the victims, the newspapers manipulate the story, framing the giant king as a villain who attacked an innocent ship. Later, Rox and Harald meet at Ida's bar. Rox mocks Harald for bowing to the world government and urges him to join the fight for total freedom. Despite the framing and the government's corruption, Harald remains stubborn, hoping to lead Elbaf into a legitimate alliance. Meanwhile, at the Marine headquarters, future legends Garp and Sengoku argue that the giant's strength is exactly what the Marines need. However, Admiral Kong explains the ancient bad blood makes the world government refuse to coexist with them. The world is also shaken by the news that Shakuyaku, the legendary Shaki, has left the Kuja pirates. While her former captain, Gloriosa, joins the Rox pirates, Shaki chooses to open her famous rip-off bar on Hachinosu. She quickly becomes known as the treasure of the pirate island. The 5 elders then agreed to allow Elbaf to join the world government, but only on one condition: the giants must assassinate Rox D. Xebec. The story shifts to the Roger pirates, where a secret is revealed. Rayleigh has received a note from Shaki that Roger interprets as a blatant love letter, "Come and get me." While Rayleigh claims he has no interest in settling down, Roger refuses to let that matter go. Driven by his own feelings for Shaki, Roger orders his crew to set a course for the pirate island of Hachinosu. Meanwhile, a dark shadow falls over a new location. Saint Fagarlin Garling reports to the 5 elders regarding his mission to God Valley. After the islanders rejected the world government, Garling suggests the territory be used for the next native hunting competition. He notes that the island is rich in resources and contains something specific that would please the mysterious emu. Back on Hachinosu, Shaki's bar has become a sensation. Even the terrifying Rox D. Xebec appears uncharacteristically happy. Big Mom and Miss Buckingham Stussy suspect the cause. They believe Rox has found a woman he loves and may have even become a father. When Roger's crew arrives, tension flares between the 2 rival captains, though the no fighting rule of the bar keeps the peace. However, when Shaki realizes Rayleigh stayed behind on the ship, she collapses, succumbing to the same lovesickness that plagues the Kuja. The tragedy of King Harald reaches its breaking point on Elbaf. Determined to move his kingdom past its violent history, Harald accepts the world government's ultimatum. He must kill Rox. When Rox returns to Elbaf to recruit the giants, the two friends clash in a heavy battle. Rox warns that the world nobles are simply using the giants as muscle, but Harald insists that an alliance is the only way for Elbaf to join the modern world. The two part ways, their friendship shattered, with Harald branding Rox as a villain destined for failure. A massive revelation 39 years in the past occurs. On the shores of God Valley, a woman gives birth to identical red-haired twins. As the islanders gather to help, she introduces the infants to the world, Shanks and Shamrocks. The origin of a future emperor is finally brought to light. Chaos descends on Pirate Island Hachinosu when Shaki is kidnapped, and her guard, Marlin, is found dead. The traitor, Ochoku, sold her to the world government for a massive reward. When news of the kidnapping reaches the sea, Goldie Roger is consumed by fury, vowing to kill Rox for allowing this to happen to her. 38 years ago, on God Valley, Saint Garling arrives to inspect the island for the upcoming native hunting competition. He coldly rejects the mother of his twin red-haired sons, Shanks and Shamrock, stating he plans to win a better wife during the tournament before mercilessly striking the woman down. As Marines invade to secure the area for the world nobles, a rookie Monkey D. Dragon questions the brutal orders, uneasily using tranquilizers on the innocent population. Thanks to a leak provided to a young Big News Morgans, the world learns the truth. Shaki is the grand prize in the God Valley competition. The Rock's pirates are enraged. While Big Mom schemes to acquire the powerful devil fruits, listed as prizes for Kaido and her children, Rox orders the entire crew to mobilize. Roger also learns Shaki's location and races to save her, drawing Garp's attention and setting the stage for the ultimate confrontation. En route, Rox is intercepted by King Harald. In a private moment, Rox reveals his deepest secret. His true name is Davy D. Xebec, descendant of the legendary Davy D. Jones. He confesses that his wife and 2-year-old son are hidden on God Valley, and they are his real motivation for going. Believing he won't survive this battle against the world, Rox begs Harald to protect his family. Harald refuses, and after a brief clash, Rox escapes towards his destiny. As Shaki is the top prize for the Celestial Dragons, Garling intends to claim her as his new wife. Dragon finds the dying mother of Shanks and Shamrocks, who begs him to save her children. Meanwhile, a young Blackbeard Teach is confronted by his own mother just before the final shocking announcement. The highest points in the hunt are reserved for Teach, revealing him as a member of the long-thought extinct Davy clan. The horror of the native hunting competition intensifies as the world nobles reveal their deep hatred for the Davy clan. Presenting several members of the clan alongside a young Teach, the nobles claim these are the most despised people in existence, even linking them to the persecuted buccaneers. Saint Saturn praises Garling for discovering the clan on the island, calling the opportunity to hunt them an act of fate. Nearby, the mother of Shanks and Shamrock takes her final breath, begging the young Marine, Dragon, to ensure her children grow up kind and uncorrupted. Dragon swears an oath to save them and plunges into the chaos. As the hunt officially begins, the true character of the Celestial Dragons is televised back to Marie Joie. Nobles like Saint Gunko and Saint Somers slaughter innocent families for sport, viewing the deaths of parents and children as a game to be gambled on. Witnessing the carnage, Dragon is physically sickened. He knows that defying the nobles could lead to the execution of his entire Marine platoon, but seeing Kuma and Ivankov still holding onto hope changes him. He chooses to act, tranquilizing a Celestial Dragon to protect Kuma. The tide turns as the Rox pirates finally make landfall. Rox demands his crew cease their unusual infighting until Shaki is rescued and the treasure, including several rare devil fruits, is secured. The crew's legendary members display their unique motivations. Big Mom schemes for power, Kaido seeks a devil fruit, and Whitebeard surprisingly admits he wouldn't be opposed to winning Shaki's heart. As the world nobles flee into terror, Garling laments that his game has been ruined. Amidst the panic, Dragon successfully finds the red-haired twins and flees to safety. Moments later, the Roger pirates arrive. Roger boldly declares that he is the only one who will rescue Shaki, though his treasure-hungry crew promptly tramples over his speech. With the Knights of God stepping up to protect the world nobles and Garp arriving to blast through the pirate ranks, the stage is set for the most legendary battle in history. As chaos consumes God Valley, the Marines scramble to evacuate the world nobles. While the major players pursue their own targets, Roger and his crew search desperately for Shaki, while Rox hunts for his wife, Iris, and young Teach. In the middle of the carnage, a young Monkey D. Dragon tries to sneak the infant twins onto a Marine ship. His escape is cut short when he is shot by Saint Maffy of the Knights of God. Maffy seizes Shamrock, but before she can finish Dragon off, Whitebeard bursts into the scene and kills the knight, inadvertently saving Dragon's life. While Shamrock is carried away, a wounded dragon is forced to stay behind to protect a passed-out Shanks. Nearby, the heavy hitters of the Rocks Pirates, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Shiki, and Kaido, tear through waves of pirates and Marines alike. Their rampage is finally met by Garp, who charges the legendary four at once. Watching from the shadows, Dragon is stunned to see his father in the middle of such a world-shaking battle. The focus then shifts to the captive Shaki. Despite being handcuffed, she manages to defeat her Marine guards, drawing the attention of Saint Somers. Infuriated by her defiance, Sommer decides that if he cannot claim her as his prize, he will murder her to spite the pirates who came to save her. He mocks Shaki, claiming no hero from a fairy tale will save her, and prepares to deliver 5 fatal blows. Just as Somers raises his weapon to strike, Rayleigh arrives, sending him flying with a powerful attack. The reunion is deeply emotional. Shaki breaks down in Rayleigh's arms as he promises to never let her go through such an ordeal again. Watching their friend's rescue, a tearful Roger and Gaban celebrate the moment. With Shaki finally safe, Roger announces their next move. They will seize the island's treasures and make their escape from the crumbling valley. In the northwest of the island, the battle between Rox and Garling rages on. While Roger races toward the treasure, Rayleigh continues to protect Shaki. Even the ruthless Shiki orders his men to focus only on the loot, ensuring Shaki isn't caught in the crossfire. In a quiet moment, Rayleigh tries to tell Shaki how he feels, but she softly stops him, saying she already knows. At the main treasury, Kuma and Ivankov attempt to steal 2 legendary devil fruits to secure their escape. Big Mom suddenly barges in and snatches the dragon fruit from Ivankov's hands, but Kuma manages to eat the pawpaw fruit just in time. Ivankov tells Kuma that using this power to save even one person will be their victory. Nearby, Garp is horrified by the piles of dead civilians and slaves. He contacts Sengoku, only to learn that the Marines heard rumors of this atrocity but silenced the whistleblowers. Garp is forced to accept the dark reality. His service is currently protecting a massacre. Rox finally finds his wife, Iris, and a young Teach. They are hunted by Garling and a pack of demons who are actually members of Rox's own family, the Davy clan, transformed into mindless monsters. Iris realizes Rox cannot fight while protecting her. She demands he let her go, promising to take her own life and Teach's if they are caught, so they can avoid the agony of the world government's experiments. She tells him to survive so they can meet again in Alusha. Greed splits the Rock's pirates further as Kaido steals the dragon fruit Big Mom wanted for her son, eating it and transforming into a massive blue dragon. On the shores, the Marines show no mercy, shooting innocent people because their nation isn't part of the world government. Kuma, however, begins using his new powers to warp as many people to safety as possible. After Rox defeats Garling and slays his own transformed kin, a terrifying presence settles over the island. Rox, Roger, and Garp all feel a power that shouldn't exist. Emu has taken over the body of Saint Saturn, appearing as a monstrous creature. As the pirates look in disbelief, Rox grimly identifies the enemy. It is the world itself. The battlefield changes as Emu manifests through Saint Saturn. The Marines watch in horror as their own leader turns on them, attacking friend and foe alike. While the Navy retreats, the legends move in. Roger sends Gaban to find the treasure while he targets the monster ahead. Garp mocks the transformed elder, calling his freakish form a perfect reflection of the corruption in Marie-Joie. A chilling conversation begins between Rox and Emu. Emu addresses the pirate as Davy Jones, but Rox claims he is merely keeping an ancient promise. Emu declares that the Davy family must be erased to make the world complete. As Rox attacks, Garp leaps into the fight, refusing to see Emu as a god, but only as a pest that needs to be crushed. Amidst the clash of powers, the Rox pirates continue to betray one another. John, the user of the magnet fruit, attempts to pull all the island's treasure towards him. In the chaos, he accidentally drags a young dragon and baby Shanks into the crossfire. John is neutralized by Ganzui, the user of the bomb fruit, leading to a scramble for chests worth billions. In this confusion, Dragon loses track of baby Shanks, who crawls into an open treasure chest. The battle reaches its peak. Rox, Garp, Roger, Whitebeard, and Kaido launch a massive simultaneous attack on Emu. Even Big Mom joins in, though she is still furious at Kaido for eating the dragon fruit. Despite this overwhelming combined strength, Emu regenerates instantly and unleashes a wave of Supreme King Haki so powerful it knocks out nearly everyone on the island. Finally, Emu spots Rox's wife and son fleeing through the forest. To ensure the end of the Davy bloodline, Emu commits a horrific act. They stab Rox and use a dark power called Domi Reversi. Rox is transformed into a mindless demon, forced by Emu's command to hunt down and kill his own wife, Iris, and his young son, Teach. Rox screams in agony as Emu forces a dark transformation upon him. Despite that pain, Rox resists, taunting Emu even as his body changes. He proudly declares his belief that Davy D. Jones was the true king of the world. Rox mocks Emu's obvious terror, asking what scares the world more, the legacy of Jones or the legend of Joy Boy. Infuriated, Emu reveals a chilling plan for the future. They intend to turn the giants of Elbaf into mindless puppets, taking advantage of King Harald's desire for peace to mold the giant race into a perfect weapon. With the final command to exterminate his own bloodline and everyone on the island, Emu completes the transformation. Rox is turned into a mindless, demonic force. The legendary pirate immediately turns on his own crew. He slams Kaido into a mountain and easily brushes off Big Mom's counterattack. Only Whitebeard stands his ground, matching Rox in a clash so powerful it shatters the northeast mountain of God Valley. While the Marines prioritize the safety of the world nobles, the chaos on the island's peaks. Dragon despairs over losing baby Shanks, while Kuma continues to warp survivors to safety. Driven by Emu's will, the transformed Rox reaches the shore where his wife, Iris, and young Teach are trying to escape. As Marines open fire on the family, Kuma intervenes at the final second, teleporting Iris and Teach away to safety. Rox's devastating strike misses his family, but obliterates the Marine ship instead. Emu orders the beasts to continue the slaughter. As the transformed Rox prepares to kill everyone left on the island, Garp and Roger step forward to intercept him. Though he looks like a monster, tears stream down from Rox's face. Through a mysterious connection, Garp and Roger hear a desperate plea echoing in their minds. It was the real Rox, begging his rivals for mercy. His final wish is simple: kill me. With that, the fated battle that will change history forever begins. Garp and Roger join forces against the demonized Rox, finally acknowledging the silent plea for mercy they heard in their minds. Despite their combined power, the transformed pirate blows them away, his haki splitting the heavens and shattering the mountains. Seeing their captain lost to madness, the Rox pirates shatter. Silver Axe steals the main ship, while Shiki confirms the crew is officially finished. Amidst the retreat, the future emperors part ways. Big Mom warns Kaido that he owes her a life debt for stealing the dragon fruit, while Kaido vows to build a world where only violence matters. Meanwhile, a young Whitebeard is approached by a fan named Polo Graham, and a defiant dragon holds his own marine commander at gunpoint to ensure innocent civilians are rescued. The possessed Saint Saturn leaves the island, issuing a cold command. God Valley is to be treated as if it never existed. This marks the start of a massive cover-up, where Marine Base G11 and CP6 begin erasing all records of the island, the casualties, and the hunting competition. As the island crumbles, Garp and Roger take a moment to reflect. Roger even invites Garp to join his crew, but Garp refuses, choosing to stay and protect the Marines from the corruption he has witnessed. They deduce that Rock's Supreme King Haki is canceling out their own. To break through, they realize they must create the mass of their haki into one concentrated burst, a move that could kill them both from sheer exhaustion. With a final, desperate roar, Garp and Roger unleash their absolute peak strength. The resulting clash puts an end to the legendary Rox de Xebec. Though the world government wipes this day from history, the fall of Rox and the rise of his crewmates would shape the era of pirates for decades to come. As the two heroes collapse from exhaustion, a dying Rox sees the Knights of Gods approaching. He knows his end has come. Mentally, he thanks his rivals for saving his soul and stopping his rampage before Saint Garling delivers the final blow. Rayleigh and Gaban manage to drag the unconscious Roger and Garp to safety just as God Valley sinks forever into the sea. On the Oro Jackson, the crew discovers a crying baby hidden inside one of the treasure chests, the infant Shanks. Meanwhile, the world government erases the truth, branding Garp as the hero of God Valley to cover up the involvement of pirates. Garp is outraged by the lie, leading to a heated clash with Sengoku. While Sengoku admits to looking the other way to climb the ranks, Garp vows to stay in the Marines to protect the rank and file, warning Sengoku that he will personally end him if he becomes corrupt. On Elbaf, a heartbroken Loki remembers his last conversation with Rox. Rox had believed that King Harald held the power to destroy the world through a legendary slumbering group of giants called the Galila. He had hoped to unite the giants under his banner, but he realized Harald's love for his people and his dream of peace were too strong to break. Consumed by guilt for not helping his friend when he needed him the most, Harald becomes desperate to protect Elbaf's reputation. He brutally beats a pillaging giant to prove his loyalty to the law, but the news twists the story, once again painting the king as a villain. The era-defining moment concludes with two major departures. Garp visits a captured dragon and gives him the keys to his cell. Dragon quits the Marines, fueled by his hatred for the system and his father. Finally, King Harald arrives at Marine Ford to make an ultimate sacrifice. Before the world government, he begs for a future where giants and humans can live in peace. To prove his sincerity, he tears out his own thorns and offers to become a slave if it means his people will finally be accepted. 5 years after the God Valley incident, the world enters a new age. Harald now serves the world government as a devoted blade of God, hunting pirates from the mist to atone for Elbaf's past. While former Rock's members like Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido rise as emperors, Goldie Roger conquers the Grand Line. His eventual execution sparks the Great Pirate Era, forever changing the seas. To maintain order, the five elders finally allow giants to join the Marines. They grant Harald a mysterious magic circle on his arm called the Shallow Covenant. They reveal a hierarchy of power: Shallow, Depths, and finally the Abyssal Covenant, reserved only for the 13 elite chosen by Imu. Harald accepts this brand, believing it is the final step to Elbaf's acceptance, though he is sworn to absolute secrecy. 20 years ago, Harald shares a drink with King Neptune, who predicts the birth of a daughter with incredible power and suggests a future marriage to Prince Loki. That same year, the giant Saul settles on Elbaf to open a school. 5 years later, the Holy Land of Marijois is set ablaze. Fisher Tiger escapes slavery with the secret help of a mysterious Knight of God who unlocks the armory, allowing Hancock and Koala to flee. During the investigation, Garling introduces Harald to the adult twins, Shanks and Shamrock. While Shamrock is already a Knight of God, Shanks is a devoted blade, who treats Harald with total contempt. Despite Shanks' arrogance, Harald feels a haunting sense of familiarity. Meanwhile, a tragedy unfolds in the underworld. Ida falls deathly ill and Haruden takes to the sea to find a doctor. Loki stays by her side, showing a rare, gentle side that proves he views Ida as his true mother. However, Loki soon discovers a horrific truth. The people of Queen Estrid's village poisoned Ida to prevent an outsider from becoming queen. Enraged by their cold-blooded greed, Loki burns the entire village to the ground. He officially rejects his birth mother's bloodline, declaring that Ida is the only mother he has ever known. As the giants continue to integrate into the Marines, public opinion of their race reaches an all-time high. On Elbaf, King Harald shares a hopeful vision for the future. He wants to build a fleet of ships not for war, but for travel, allowing his people to learn from the cultures of the world. During a visit to Saul's school, Harald admits that while military strength was once their only pride, he now believes their true power lies in peace, a perspective he credits to his love for Ida. Tragedy strikes during a cold winter when Ida finally succumbs to her illness. Her death leaves a massive void in the hearts of Harald, Haruden, and Loki. Despite her passing, Harald remains committed to her dream of a peaceful Elbaf, unaware of the darkness waiting for him in the Holy Land. 14 years ago, Harald is summoned to Marijois. Because Shanks had recently left the Knights of God, the world government offers the position to Harald as a reward for his loyalty. He accepts, believing this is the final step towards Elbaf's official alliance. However, inside the throne room, Harald is paralyzed with shock to find a mysterious figure sitting upon the empty throne, the ruler known as Imu. Imu upgrades Harald's mark to the Depths Covenant, granting him immortality and godlike strength, but the gift is a trap. Harald discovers that the mark allows Imu to control his physical body, turning him into a puppet. Imu's true plan is revealed. They have no intention of treating Elbaf as an equal. Instead, they order Harald to transform his entire country into a nation of ruthless warriors to serve as the world government's ultimate weapon. Horrified and unable to disobey Imu's direct commands, Harald realizes he is being forced to destroy the very peace he spent his entire life building. In a desperate attempt to protect his people from himself, Harald returns to Elbaf and orders his guards to chain him to a pillar within the castle. He calls for his advisor, Jarl, and his sons, Haruden and Loki, setting the stage for the legendary massacre that would end his life. At Gaban's house, a life-changing secret is shared. Roger had a son. Gaban reveals the news he learned from Garp, and Shanks joyfully welcomes the idea of a little brother, seeing both himself and Buggy as the Pirate King's legacy. But while they discuss the hope of the next generation, a dark shadow falls over Arut's castle. Inside the throne room, King Harald's nightmare begins. He watches in horror as his body moves on its own, murdering a guard he had just ordered to chain him up. He realizes the Depth's Covenant has turned him into a mindless puppet for Emu. Terrified that he will kill everyone he loves, Harald begs his men to end his life. However, his horror deepens as he discovers the Covenant has made him immortal. His wounds heal instantly, and he is forced to strike down his own soldiers. Shanks explains the terrifying truth of the Covenants to Gaban. While the Shallow Covenant only allowed Emu to control them near Marie's Wall, the Depth's Covenant granted godlike power and immortality at the cost of total, long-distance control. Shanks knew the world government's promise of an alliance were a lie meant to trap Harald and turn the giants into immortal slaves for the wars. Loki and Jarl burst into the throne room to find a massacre in progress. In a final moment of clarity, Harald reveals the government's betrayal. He begs Loki to take the kingdom's sacred devil fruit, kill him, and take the throne as a hero. Harald is willing to be remembered as the worst king in history if it means Loki can save Elbaf's future. But Emu's control snaps back with a vengeance. Harald declares himself a vassal for the Great One and brutally attacks Jarl. He then chases after Loki to stop him from eating the fruit. Just as Shanks and Gaban arrive to intercept the immortal king, Loki reaches the legendary chest. But before he can claim the power to save his kingdom, the legendary weapon Ragnir attacks him on its own, leaving the fate of the giant race hanging by a thread. Loki's struggle for the legendary devil fruit takes a bizarre turn as the weapon Ragnir attacks him. Harald reveals the truth. Ragnir is a sentient guardian that judges the worth of anyone who tries to eat the fruit. As the floor collapses under the weapon's immense weight, the possessed King Harald prepares to seize the power for himself, believing his status as a Knight of God makes him the only one worthy of subduing it. Gaban and Shanks continue their desperate battle against Harald. They discover a critical weakness. The king's unnatural healing is slowing down. Gaban reveals a major secret regarding the world government's elite. The Knights of Gods are uniquely vulnerable to Supreme King Haki. This was the very power a young Shanks used to keep the Knights from recapturing him years ago. Back at the chest, Loki refuses to yield. After a fierce exchange that destroys his own hammer, Ragnir finally transforms into its true form, a small squirrel with a hammer on its head. Recognizing Loki's resolve, the Guardian allows him to eat the fruit. Just as Gaban and Shanks are nearly overwhelmed by Harald's own haki, Loki arrives with a massive display of power, proving he too possesses the qualities of a king. The legendary clash ends with Harald's defeat. The blow briefly breaks Emu's mental shackles, allowing Harald to regain his senses one last time. He confesses that the Depth's Covenant was a poison that influenced his very thoughts, making him feel like a god. In these final moments, Harald reveals he knew Loki burned the village to avenge Ida, and he thanks his son for the love he showed her. As the dark power of the Covenant begins to reclaim his mind, Harald begs Loki to finish him. Though distraught and angry, Loki honors his father's wishes. Using Ragnir, he unleashes a devastating final strike that shatters King Harald to pieces. The flashback concludes with Loki standing alone in the ruins of the castle, left with the heavy burden of securing Elbaf's future as its new, grieving king. And right there, ladies and gentlemen, is our Elbaf arc part 2 explained, aka our God Valley incident explained. Now, I know a lot of people that may have clicked on this video just expected the specific like 6, 7, or 8 chapters of God Valley, But if you just got those chapters of God Valley, you would not understand any of the reasons we were there in the first place. And there's a lot of characters that had good backstory a couple chapters before God Valley and a couple chapters after God Valley, which is why I decided to include this big block of like 20 chapters instead of 6 or 7, because you would have not understood why we were even at God Valley in the first place, or even the characters involved. And also you have to understand the aftermath of incidents and things that happen in the story. So as you know, my job is to be able to explain these arcs in a short way where you don't have to either read or watch the whole thing, but at the same time you do need to understand what's going on, why it's going on, and what is the events that come after it because of this main God Valley incident. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've said this video is coming. I know a lot of y'all was probably mad that I gave the Boruto community a whole hour-long fire video, but as promised, here's this video. I also hope you guys kind of enjoyed that background music. I just stumbled upon it while I was editing the video. I'm going to be putting the link in the description of the person who made this music because I listened to it and I thought it was fire. So I decided to make it my background music. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Elbaf part 3 will probably be whenever the arc is over, since it seems like we're getting to that point. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, peace out.